The US firm SpaceX says its experiment to launch a rocket and then land part of it safely on a floating sea platform has failed. The company sent its Falcon rocket to the International Space Station with supplies and wanted to reuse the launch section. If they could, it would mean cutting the cost of space travel. Well, the company's CEO, Elon Musk, tweeted that the booster hit the platform too hard. Dr Ken Kremer is a space journalist for Universe Today and AmericaSpace magazine. Dr Kremer, it begs the question whether SpaceX were brave or foolhardy to try this.
Hi, well, thanks for having me on your program. Well, I think they were very brave, and actually, I don't quite agree with your characterization that it was a failure. I don't view it as a failure. This was an experiment, a first-time experiment. And I think it was mostly a success, okay?
Mostly a success, but it didn't succeed, did it?
Yes, but it was 99% successful. They from 100 miles up, they had to direct this rocket to land on this little barge that's only a few hundred feet wide in the middle of the ocean. That's tremendously difficult to do. So they succeeded in that. The only thing they didn't succeed in was the soft landing, but they reached the ship. So, yeah, they didn't have a soft landing, but they accomplished just about everything else. So that's my opinion. Anyway.
Why are these experiments significant, though, in space exploration?
Well, as you outlined, if we can recover and reuse this rocket, we could cut the cost. And if we can cut the cost, then we can do a lot more in space because it'll be a lot cheaper to send astronauts and science experiments and payloads up into space. It's expensive now, but if this experiment can succeed in the future, and I think it will, then it will lead to reusable rockets. So. Right. That part is still going to be difficult to make sure that you can actually reuse the rocket. But so this is the experiment right now.
You've accepted that it hasn't succeeded then. If you're talking about if it can succeed in the future, will it succeed in the future, do you think?
Well, like I said, they had 99% success here. They had 1% failure.
Yeah. But that can make all the difference for the future. Will they be able to turn over that 1% in the future?
I think they will. I think they will because, you know, they only expected a 50% chance that they would succeed on this flight, and they have actually accomplished most of their objectives. So I give them a lot of credit. And yes, they're going to be continuing this. The next flight will be in a few weeks or a few months. Certainly in the spring of this year, they're going to launch another Falcon 9 rocket. And they will test this out, and they'll get better and better at it. I mean, I'm a scientist, and this is what we do. We experiment. Yeah. We don't expect perfect success on the first try.
No, sure, but I'm an ordinary bloke, and I've watched space launches certainly since Apollo 11, when we were all captivated when Neil Armstrong landed that rocket on the moon. But ever since then, you know, my generation was used to seeing the space module land in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and be plucked out by the Air Force and so on. Clearly, in those days, you couldn't reuse rockets. Now, what's happened since then that now allows that possibility?
What's happened is somebody's trying it, actually. Nobody tried this before.
Oh, so it was possible before?
Oh, this experiment could have been done before. Certainly, Elon Musk, the head of CEO, was the one who's the driving force. This is his vision to try and reuse these rockets. So, you know, yeah, this could have probably been done 20 years ago if somebody had put their mind and their money to it. He's putting his own money into it. This is, you know, not a government investment.
Is it safe?
Is it safe? Well, it's safe to do it in the ocean and far away. Now, that's a great question because you do need a pinpoint landing. So you don't want to bring this back to a populated area until you have it perfected. So it has to be done in an isolated area. I mean, that's you know, an excellent point. So it can be done safely in an isolated area. You would never land a rocket like this near a population center.
Dr. Kremer, really appreciate you talking to us. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Ken Kremer there, space journalist for Universe Today and AmericaSpace magazine. After the news and sport, we'll be